Welcome everyone to the new series I'd like to bring to the channel called The Perfect Superhero Movie, where I try to spread a little more love and happiness with one video after another. Nowadays there's a lot of negativity and hate and complaining and finger pointing about all the things that are wrong with the world, and the world of cinema is no exception to this. And I myself also tend to think negatively about certain films. But that's why I'm starting this series. We are going to be taking a look back at films and determining if they are the perfect superhero film by highlighting all of the best qualities about them. From the plot, to the characters, to the cinematography, no area will be missed. Hopefully. And if you feel like your favorite movie of the superhero variety deserves to be on this list, then put it down in the comments below and we'll put it to the test. But without further delay, let's talk about Avengers Infinity War and why it's on the list of the perfect superhero movies. The best possible way to start this series is to talk about one of the most anticipated and successful movies to date in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the best place to start with this movie is to talk about the characters and each of their arcs in the film. Now there are a lot of characters in this movie, so I will not be able to go over everyone, but there are definitely those in particular who deserve the spotlight with how they got written and how they were portrayed by the actors. So I'm going to split this video into small sections based on the groups of characters that I'll be talking about. Thanos will be getting his own section, which is well deserved. Then we have Sherlock Holmes coming, the Asgardians of the Galaxy, and Captain America. But who better to start with than the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. This movie is labeled as an Avengers movie, yet Thanos has one of the most screen times of any character. He actually has the most screen time of any character. So this is basically his film in my mind. Thanos is one of the best written characters in all of Marvel and one of the best villains that cinema has ever seen. With a combination of Josh Brolin's incredible performance, the masterful use of CGI, and the incredible writing, Thanos comes off as a menacing yet capable villain that you not only understand the motives of, but also sympathize with. Which is actually very rare in today's day and age, not only with Marvel, but in general. He is an unrivaled force of nature that has to face sacrifice, loss, and hardships to get the desired outcome, and that outcome is to get rid of half of all life in the universe.
This day extracts a heavy toll.
And this idea is something that is explored very well in this movie. In the opening of this film, you see Thanos holding one of the strongest characters we've seen up to this point, Thor, after decimating him and his ship, then goes toe-to-toe with one of the other strongest characters we've seen up to this point, Hulk, giving it a clear visual representation for the power that this guy is capable of. And this level of threat and power is then solidified by the fact that some of the most powerful people we've ever seen are his 4 henchmen, especially Ebony Maw. Ebony Maw is one of the most powerful magic users we've seen to this point, but he is still a nobody compared to Thanos. He's only a henchman. So within a few minutes on screen, he has defeated Thor, Hulk, killed Heimdall, and then kills Loki as well. This is how you introduce a villain. As we get to hear about Thanos' overall plan, it's from the point of view of our heroes, characters on the opposing side of Thanos. Banner says that he's basically like a plague. He invades the planet and destroys half the population. Then Gamora talks about it from her point of view, killing people on one planet after another. So I really like that we get to see how others see his plan and how we as normal, fairly sane individuals would also see his plan. During a flashback, you see him invading Gamora's planet and you get to see a little bit of his softer side that he has for her, and even get to see a small tidbit of his overall beliefs and the reason why he's doing what he's doing. While obtaining the reality stone, he tricks Gamora into thinking she killed him, and in his death, she cries. He sees this as her expressing her love for him. And even when Gamora asks Quill to kill her, he allows him to try, admitting that he likes him after he shows he's willing to do what it takes to win. And this is a common trend through the movie. He also shows respect for Stark after their fight, saying that he hopes that humanity remembers him. He sees that Tony is giving it his all to fight for what he stands for, as he himself is as well. Thanos actually doesn't kill anyone himself for any reason other than the fact that he feels like he has to. He kills Loki for his betrayal and his failures of the past. He kills Heimdall for sending Hulk away, and was seemingly going to kill Tony as well because he was an obstacle to getting the Time Stone, but then Doctor Strange intervened, saying that he would give him the stone if he spared his life. So anyone through the movie that he's going to kill is because they were an obstacle in front of him, keeping him from his goal. As soon as they're no longer that, he doesn't need to kill them anymore. This shows he doesn't want the power of the Infinity Stones just for power's sake, only to use them for the purpose that he intends to use them for. Eventually, you get to see Thanos' plan from his point of view. When Gamora says that she hates Thanos' throne or his chair, he makes a point to sit on the stairs. He then explains why he wants to erase half of all life in the universe. Because if life continues to go unchecked, then life will cease to exist. Because the resources of the universe are finite. Eventually, it will run out. And you could just take what he says for a grain of salt and not really believe it, but then you get to see it actually happen to his planet. His people went extinct because of this reason. So despite how insane his ideology sounds, you actually understand the motivation behind why he's doing it. And he sees himself as the only person willing to act on this knowledge, and willpower is something that I will come back to soon. When it comes to getting the Soul Stone, you can see the sorrow in his face and the amount of pain he's in, having to sacrifice the only person he loves to accomplish his task. He believes that he cannot run from his destiny any longer. He has the will to act on the ideology, and he follows through. And despite the pain and grief he feels, he is still willing to do what it takes to give the universe what he believes is a true paradise. These are some of the biggest reasons that I think Thanos is one of the best written characters and villains on the big screen. From his point of view, he's the hero. He is offering salvation to half the universe. The half that gets erased is by random, no bias of his own going into the choosing of who lives and who dies. The ones who die are done mercifully and painlessly. He doesn't kill or harm anyone unless it's necessary to get the Infinity Stones. He respects the heroes that show that they are trying their hardest to follow their beliefs, and he actually wins. The villain, from our point of view, wins. And after he completes his mission, he doesn't revel in the fact that he won. He doesn't go after the heroes that tried to stop him. He retires. He watches the sunrise. He rests. He does his victory lap by watching the sunrise and being satisfied that he was able to complete his quest. And he shows his satisfaction with the simplest of actions, a smile. Sherlock Homecoming is referring to Tony, Doctor Strange, and Peter Parker. Tony knows from the very beginning that this is what his visions were about. The oncoming threat to Earth is something that he has expected for years. So he is going to do whatever it takes to protect the ones that he loves, which is one reason why he does not like the fact that Peter is aboard the ship with him while trying to rescue Strange. Remember what he said in Spider-Man Homecoming?
And if you die, I feel like that's on me.
He wants Peter to be safe above all else. Tony eventually talks about how he wants to take the fight to Thanos on his turf. Because for one, they feel they have the drop on Thanos and they could take the fight to him and take him by surprise, but for two, they don't want Earth to face the potential destruction of the fight not knowing of what's currently happening in Wakanda. Strange reluctantly agrees with this plan, but states how he will allow Peter and Tony to both die if that means the Time Stone stays safe. Tony agrees with the terms that were set, and does a knighting ceremony for Peter, basically making him an honorary member of the Avengers. You can see Peter's facial expressions bouncing back and forth between the excitement of being an Avenger and the realization of what the responsibility of being an Avenger means. It's something he's always wanted, he just doesn't know if he's ready yet. A little bit later, Strange looks to the future and sees 14 million outcomes to the current fight with Thanos and states how they only win once. He witnesses them lose 14 million times, but still sees one possible victory. During the battle with Thanos, Tony fights tooth and nail, earning the respect of the Mad Titan only to be defeated in the end. Before being killed by Thanos, Strange offers the Time Stone for Tony's life, in which he agrees. Unbeknownst to anyone else, Strange knows that Tony has to live and they have to lose today to win another day. Tony sees this as the ultimate defeat. Strange gives up the Time Stone to Thanos despite saying that he will let him die to prevent such a thing from happening, resulting in Tony witnessing the death of Peter, the one thing he wanted to prevent. He had to witness him disappear in his own arms as a result of their failure. A failure in which he has been preparing for years to try to prevent. Peter goes from wanting to be in the Avengers and being a bigger part of the superhero community to feeling the full consequences of what that actually means to be one. Strange said that he would allow everyone to die to protect the stone if it meant winning, to using the stone as a bargaining chip to save Tony and causing them to lose the fight, and from Tony's point of view, the war. And Tony obsessed over stopping this from happening for so long, only to see everything that he hoped to stop happen right in front of his very eyes. He lost. He loses the fight against Thanos, he loses someone who is like a son to him and Peter, and he believes that he has lost the war. In his mind, he has lost everything. He's failed. For the Asgardians of the Galaxy, I will be talking about Thor, Peter Quill, and Gamora. After witnessing the death of his best friend Heimdall and his brother Loki, as well as half of his people on his ship, Thor is filled with anger and grief and is hellbent on getting revenge on Thanos. He goes to get a new weapon like Mjolnir from the dwarves to find out all but one have been slaughtered. He has to endure the full force of a star while holding the latch open to forge this weapon, knowing that it is his only chance to win against the Mad Titan. He nearly dies, but the Forge of Stormbreaker was a success, and he arrives in Wakanda in what is one of the best superhero entrances to date, showing off quite the level of power and prowess with this new weapon. All of this rage and determination comes to a head when Thanos makes his arrival in Wakanda. Thor doesn't hesitate to strike at the moment he sees him and lands a devastating blow despite Thanos wielding all of the Infinity Stones. Thor then takes this moment to watch Thanos suffer, to revel in the fact that he has bested the Mad Titan and avenged not only Heimdall and Loki, but all of the people that have fallen due to him. And as Thor takes his time to enjoy this moment, Thanos is able to accomplish his task, and Thor is stunned in disbelief, drowning in the realization that he has failed, despite having the chance to succeed and choosing to prolong the outcome of what he thought was inevitable. Peter and Gamora's story is just as tragic. Gamora realizes that the knowledge she possesses about the Soul Stone's location will eventually bring her face to face with Thanos, and she asks Peter to kill her if Thanos gets to her first. Peter wants to joke around and dodge the question, but realizes the seriousness of the situation when she asks to swear on his mother, which he accepts. When they find themselves in front of the Mad Titan, Gamora asks Quill to fulfill the promise that he made to her, to kill her. Thanos even gives him the opportunity to do so, saying that she's asking too much of him. The look of desperation, sorrow, and anger fill his eyes, but he's able to go through with it. He pulls the trigger to kill the woman he loves because she asked him to. Of course, Thanos doesn't allow this to happen, but it does earn his respect, and they disappear. Gamora has to see her sister tortured to give up the location of the Soul Stone, which, unknown to her at the time, leads to her death. And right before her death, she believes the universe will not allow Thanos to continue, that he does not love anything, so he cannot lose what he loves. Just for that feeling of victory to come crashing down very rapidly after realizing Thanos does love her. And even though she is in disbelief about his love for her, she still dies in the end as the Mad Titan looks away, not able to bear witness to what he has to do to move forward. And this is the part where Peter gets a lot of unnecessary hate for. Quill has never been a rational character, and he has always acted out of emotion. So after the emotional turmoil of trying to save the one you love by killing her, to only have that moment stopped and her taken away, his head will not be in the most settling of spots. He thinks that Gamora is still alive and he wants her back, but then learns that Thanos killed her. And remember the last time that he learned that someone killed a woman that he loved? He acts very in character at this moment, and although it was stupid and irrational and Tony tried pleading with him to remain calm until the glove came off, his anger bubbled to the surface, resulting in him lashing out and awakening Thanos from his sedated state, causing them to lose this fight. Gamora died right after thinking that Thanos could not get the Soul Stone, thinking that he had lost, after a feeling of relief and happiness. Thor lost after allowing his emotions to get the better of him and boasting his victory in the face of a mortally wounded and seemingly defeated Thanos. And Quill lost after believing Gamora was alive, only to find out that she wasn't, and blinded with rage, he lashes out at the wrong time. Emotions clouded their judgment, but Thanos didn't let that happen to him. For Team Captain America, I want to talk about Captain America, Wanda, and Vision. Now, at the end of Captain America Civil War, Wanda and Vision were not on the same sides, but they have been trying to make a relationship work for the last few years, and they both believe that it works. And after being attacked by the Black Order, Steve Rogers and the rest of the team show up to save the day. They learn about the oncoming threat and their intent to retrieve the stone that's in Vision's head, which Vision actually offers a solution for. He said that Wanda should have the power to rupture the stone itself, since her power also derives from an Infinity Stone, and sharing that similarity should be strong enough to cause it to explode. Wanda immediately dismisses the idea, and Steve also pitches in by saying that they don't trade lives. Vision responds by saying why is it any different from when he took that plane down in a suicide mission to save millions of people. Bruce actually steps in and says that they may be able to remove the stone without killing him. So when faced with the tough call to either give up one life or the potential life of many, Steve still refuses to give up that one life. When Thanos' people were faced with the decision of losing half of their people or all of their people, they were unwilling to cause a genocide so that the ones remained could live. And in Thanos' mind, that's why they faced extinction. I want to bring attention to these two parallels because Thanos is willing to do whatever it takes to end half of all life so that the other half could live in peace. But the Avengers are not willing to sacrifice one life in order to attempt to save an infinite number that will be lost across the universe if they fail. And this is when I want to talk about willpower. If Loki had the will to let Thor die, Thanos would have never gotten the Space Stone. If Gamora had the will to let Nebula die, he would have never gotten the Soul Stone. If Strange had the will to let Tony die, he would have never gotten the Time Stone. Quill was willing to kill Gamora, which is why Thanos said that he liked him. And if the Avengers were willing to let Vision die, Thanos wouldn't have gotten the Mind Stone. You could even say that if Wanda would have let Natasha and Okoye die, then Shuri would have stayed protected and the stone would have been removed from Vision and destroyed, again, not allowing Thanos to get it. So Thanos' will was stronger than the Avengers because he was willing to sacrifice anything and everything in order to accomplish his feat. But the Avengers were not willing to make multiple sacrifices ending in their defeat. Thanos' sacrifices and the Avengers' lack thereof cemented his victory in the end, because he had the will to act on it. Avengers Infinity War was a blockbuster success for multiple reasons. It was a culmination of 10 years worth of build-up, multiple solo movies, team-up film, dozens of characters and character arcs all coming together for one common goal in the end. A villain written in such a masterful way after being built up for a decade is no easy task. Joe and Anthony Russo could have easily made Thanos closer to his comic book counterpart and made him wish to cause death and destruction for his own personal pleasures and gain. Instead, we get a tragic story of a broken and flawed character chasing an ideology that at least has some form of logical merit behind it. He's given a backstory that not only explains why he's moving forward toward this goal, but one that is also personally connected to him and his people. So Infinity War celebrates dozens of characters coming together to be a villain that the audience may or may not want to see to lose. And at least from Thanos' point of view, he's doing what is right. Exactly what the Avengers do anytime they take a mission. Taking this many characters that all have their own huge movies, stories, personalities, flaws, beliefs, all coming together into one massive film should not be as seamless as this movie handles them. Is this movie flawless? No, of course not. But Infinity War makes a massive task look like a cakewalk, and that's why this movie is on the list of perfect superhero films. Because despite how successful the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been up to this point, this movie has left its mark on the foreseeable future, showing anything is possible if you have the right talent in front of and behind the camera. Do you agree? Let me know down below if I missed any details that you think should have been highlighted through this film. Leave a sub to show some love, and like always, have a marvelous day.